a Hollywood soundstage. 1961. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. 40 cast members sit in folding chairs, a read-through for a major studio picture. At the far end of the table sits a man with a jaw like granite and eyes that don't apologize to anyone. His name is Charles Bronson, born Charles Bukinski, son of a Lithuanian coal miner. He has grease under his nails that no amount of Hollywood will ever fully wash out. The producer, tan, manicured, Yale class of 49, leans back in his chair and grins. "Hey Charlie, say the line again. I want the crew to hear that accent." The room laughs, nervous laughs, obedient laughs. Bronson doesn't flinch, doesn't blink. He sets down the script, slowly, like a man placing a weapon on a table. He never forgets it, and he never needs to forgive it, because what happens next rewrites both their careers, permanently. Ehrenfeld, Pennsylvania. 1930, a shack, 15 children, one dead father. Charles Bukinski is 10 years old when the mines take his father. No funeral money, no plan, no safety net. His mother speaks no English, neither does he. So he goes into the earth, 10 years old, helmet on, lamp lit. He hauls coal in the dark for $1 a day. Comes home black, falls asleep, does it again. He wears his sister's hand-me-down dress to school because there is nothing else. The other kids laugh. He says nothing. He has already learned the most important lesson of his life. Silence is cheaper than dignity, and dignity costs nothing if you hold it long enough. When World War II comes, he doesn't run from it. He flies into it. A B-29 tail gunner, 25 combat missions over the Pacific. More than half of tail gunners never make it home. He makes it home. But wait, that wasn't even the shocking part. The real story started long before any soundstage. Let me tell you. Philadelphia. 1947. He washes dishes, picks onions, carries boxes. Anything to not go back underground. Then someone tells him about a theater group, the Pasadena Playhouse. He walks in with $0, a thick Slavic accent, and hands built for digging, not performing. They take him anyway. He studies harder than any actor there. Not because he loves the stage, because the stage is above ground. Hollywood calls, small parts, background roles, westerns, war films. He is always the strong, silent one in the corner. The one the camera keeps drifting to even when it shouldn't. How does a quiet, intimidating coal miner with a thick accent convince Hollywood directors to give him a chance? Nobody knows, nobody can explain it. They just keep casting him. By 1961 he has real credits, a real career beginning, and a real enemy about to be made. Back to that room, that table, that laugh. The producer's name doesn't matter. What matters is what he represents. Every gatekeeper who ever looked at Charles Bronson and saw a punchline instead of a force of nature. After the mockery, 3 things happen. First, Bronson finishes the read-through without missing a single line. Flat, controlled, like a man defusing a bomb in his own chest. Second, he finds the director privately after the session. He doesn't threaten. He doesn't cry. He simply says, "I'd like to be kept on this picture, but I won't be humiliated again." The director keeps him on. The producer never works with that director again. Third, Bronson catalogs the moment, files it, doesn't bury it, uses it as fuel with a burn so slow and so clean it lasts decades. Here's the thing. That producer thought he was mocking a background actor with a funny accent. What he was actually doing was pouring gasoline on a man who already survived coal mines, a dead father at age 10, and 25 combat missions over the Pacific. You don't mock that man. You don't win against that man. You just don't know it yet. Hollywood keeps underestimating him. Too quiet. Too rough. Wrong face for leading man roles. The pretty boys get the posters. Bronson gets the side credits. So Europe takes him. France calls him Le Sacré Monstre, the sacred monster. Italy calls him Il Brutto, the ugly one. They mean both as the highest praise a man can receive. By the late 1960 seconds, Charles Bronson is the #1 box office draw in the world. Not in Europe. In the world. Beating out every polished Hollywood face that ever laughed at his accent. He doesn't give interviews about it. He doesn't thank anyone. He just keeps working. New York City. A studio hands him a script so violent, so raw, so controversial, that 3 actors already turned it down. The character is a grieving architect who picks up a gun and hunts the men who destroyed his family. Every executive says it will fail. Too dark, too brutal. American audiences don't want this. The director asks Bronson why he wants the role. Because I want to kill bad guys. No speech, no theory, no pitch. And at that exact moment, a new genre of cinema was defined. The audience didn't just watch a movie. They watched a man doing what they all secretly wished they could do. Death Wish opens. Theaters erupt. Standing ovations, lines around the block. It earns $22 million on a $3 million budget. The quiet man from the Pennsylvania coal mines has just invented the modern vigilante genre. Every John Wick, every Taken, every man on a mission thriller that follows traces its DNA directly back to that one quiet sentence. At 53 years old, the man they called too old, too rough, too accented, becomes the highest-paid actor in the world. But wait, here's where it gets even more incredible. Behind the ice-cold stare and the calloused hands, there was one person who made him completely human. Her name was Jill Ireland, British actress, his wife. His whole world wrapped in one person. When she is diagnosed with breast cancer in 1984, the toughest man in Hollywood doesn't go silent. He goes to war. He campaigns publicly for awareness. He sits beside her every single day. He holds her hand on the days the world doesn't see. She passes in 1990. The man who never cried on screen cries at her grave. Nobody makes a big production of it. That is not who he is. That is exactly who he is. He enters his 60 seconds and 70 seconds still working, still fit, still refusing to do interviews, still refusing to play the Hollywood game. He lives quietly on his ranch, completely separate from the fake glamour of the industry. No Instagram, no publicist, no redemption arc documentary, just the work and the land. Charles Bronson dies on August 30, 2003. He is 81 years old. He never gave a long acceptance speech, never wrote a memoir, never hosted a talk show or begged for a comeback. He just worked, protected his family, let the results speak. And as for that producer, the one who mocked his accent in front of 40 people on a Hollywood soundstage in 1961, he is not in any film encyclopedia. He has no legacy worth mentioning. He is a footnote that doesn't even appear in the footnotes. The man he laughed at is immortal. Today, the blueprint Bronson built single-handedly still dominates every action cinema franchise on Earth. 5 Death Wish sequels, decades of top-grossing films across Europe, Asia, and the Americas. Generations of directors citing him as the reason they picked up a camera. A stoic silence that became a masculine philosophy for millions of men worldwide. He was never the loudest man in the room. He was the last man standing in every room he ever entered. Picture this. Charles Bronson, shirt off, mid-50s, leaning against a sun-cracked wall somewhere in the American Southwest. Arms at his sides, not flexing, not posing, just existing. The kind of face that looks like it was carved by the same hands that carved the mine walls he once crawled through as a 10-year-old boy. A scar above one eye. A mustache that has never once been ironic. Eyes that look directly into the lens like they are looking directly through you. No caption needed. But here it is anyway. Silence is a source of great strength. Grit lasts forever. If this story hit something in you, subscribe. Ring the bell. Drop a comment below with one word that describes Charles Bronson. And if you have ever been laughed at for where you come from, remember who had the last word. Pass it on.